Okay, bienvenidos a Desde Cero. Welcome to Right from the Start. This is my 2-year anniversary show. And on this podcast, we have my good friend, Noe Mendoza Jr. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, Coach. Always glad to come and visit, especially on this important event for you. 2-year anniversary,
Right,
and being the first one in the second year is important. We've had this going on for about 2 years now,
right.
and I've been on the show ever since. So it's been a pleasure, and thanks for having me. It's a great way to escape, and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, it's always a pleasure having you because, we always, aside from the podcast, we always have a good time.
yes, we do.
And you just got here like 5 minutes ago and, we're just getting the party started, man.
Exactly, straight
And,
in.
this is your third time on. The podcast was started in November 2 years ago. And, it was November. So this is our third November and this is your third show. And next November, hopefully you'll be here as well and telling court stories,
Court stories,
right?
hopefully. So yeah, yeah.
How's that going?
It's going good. I'm actually looking to apply for the team. They have a traveling team that goes and competes in a mock trial setting. So it's more of a simulation where you have to go in front of a jury or like a jury
All
who's
right.
you present your case and calls witnesses to the stand to kind of cross examine them, and so it's just a good experience. You're getting your reps in, so when the real time comes, it doesn't come as a surprise, or you don't you pretty much know the orientation of the
Okay.
courtroom.
Do you get a specific case that you mock trial or anything like that? And can you talk about it?
Yeah, well, there's an upcoming competition.
Okay.
So part of the team is there's a traveling team, and then there's a competition within the school where you go
Mhm.
against your peers. And in that competition, from what I have, I have some inside information, but they're telling me that one's going to be like a murder trial mixed in
Okay.
with some rape, some statutory rape in there. So either you get the prosecutor side and you're trying to put them behind bars, or you get the defense and you're trying to keep them, from
Okay.
going in.
So you're going to be doing both sides? Is that what you're
Well, you
saying?
have to know the facts of the case
Uh-huh.
well enough to be able to argue both sides, because it's a flip of the coin in those cases. And whatever side you get, is the side you have to be
Right.
ready to deliver on.
How do you feel about it? I mean, how do you think that you're doing as becoming a lawyer and doing trial and all that?
I definitely say that I've learned to manage my time much better since my time here at A&M and undergrad, and so being in a professional school, especially out in Dallas, it's very fast paced. As far as thinking and being on your feet when you have to
Mhm.
rebuttal and say something back in return, because it's everything's there. You want to challenge an idea, you want to, and in the cases in court where if you want to win a case and you have to bring in and present the precedents from other court decisions that have
Yeah.
been ruled on, and you use that in your favor. So becoming an attorney, I think I'm getting there, of course, and that's why law school is there, so that you come out prepared. So it's definitely been like a very good time out there in Dallas. I'm learning a lot, and more importantly, I think I'm like shaping up and maturing, which is probably the best thing for me, because
Right.
had I gone to law school prematurely, I think that I would have struggled a little bit more
Right.
academically.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. And how long do you have before you're done 100% with school?
So this is my first semester of my second year, and it's a 3-year program. So come December when I finish finals, I'll be half of the way there. So,
Okay.
it's actually going by so fast. But like when you're in there and every week, and you're reading and doing what
Right.
you have to do in preparation for class, it's feels like like the days are never ending,
Right.
and at the same time you feel like you never get like enough time in the day. So now that I'm getting ready to take that next phase and go into the trial preparation and, like what I said, the trial advocacy portion. I think that's very important that, I was able to, ground myself well and understand the law and how to, interpret it. Because that's going to be the next stage and what I'm going to need to be able to do when it comes down to the mock
Right.
trial. And
Yeah, since I met you here in Bryan College Station, that was your dream, right? And it seems like you're like a step closer to that. You're right around the corner.
mm,
How do you feel about that long journey that you've been going through?
and I tell you, it's taken so a lot of time due to things that happen in life. Things don't always go your way. You might
Right,
have something at the end, your goal that you're pursuing, but not everybody gets to the same destination, in the same path. So
right,
we took a lot of detours here and there through boxing, and it was very beneficial. because like I got to get life experience,
Hmm.
and so I figure I have a little bit more of that when it comes to some of my classmates and my peers, because some of them come straight in from graduating with a bachelor's straight into law school, so they don't really get much time to experience life and the things that come with it
Right.
and all those experiences. So I speak from a personal point in class, and I'm able to bring like a diversified viewpoint, which is it's valued in the classroom because everybody could just read a case, but what you're reading, it was decided by a judge or a jury. We're only human. In some cases, they could have gone either way. So being able to interpret it and understand both sides and be able to make a point for both is, it's something that you learn in law school, and learning how to do that and that learning that ability is, definitely hurts, the
Right.
brain because you're trying to figure some stuff out, but that's the beauty of it as well. You're growing as an individual.
Right. Are you planning to stay in Dallas once you're done? Because when you're in school like that, you develop relationships and a bunch of connections and all that. Are you planning to stay in Dallas, or you planning to go back to the Rio Grande Valley?
I've made it known that I want to go back to the valley, mostly for family purposes.
Hmm.
I have a lot of family, and my entire family I feel kind of counting on me to go back home and be able to support them. Not saying that that everyone's gonna like count on me to financially support everybody
Right.
within the family, but I mean that's what we were going for. That was our our dream together. It's something that we built on. So I do want to go back home, but then again, I was telling whenever it is time to come to settle down and maybe have children in the future, it's like I want to have to make that call one day or another, whether it's gonna be Dallas, whether it's gonna be the Rio Grande Valley. But one thing's for sure is that wherever it is, I got to make sure that I'm established enough so that
Right.
I could be able to take care of my future family and well my current family.
Right. But you've always said you're going back to the valley. As time goes by, is it getting more difficult for you to decide that, or again, because of the people that you meet in school and the community and the connections in Dallas and all that, is it becoming more difficult, or your mind is set?
That's where I'm at. I'm at the
Right.
crossroad. But then there's also, the time in the future when we get to that point, where when I walk the stage and that we have to make that decision then. But for now, I'm keeping my options open. I want to be open minded about, all the opportunities that
Right.
there are in a bigger city. But at the same time, we have some big plans going on in the valley. Just depends, maybe I'll situate myself in Dallas and do business in the valley, or vice versa.
Mhm.
Or maybe I won't even be in either. Maybe I'll be like in a San Antonio, but definitely not Houston. But maybe I've even talked about coming back to Bryan College Station, raising a family here.
Okay. Yeah, this is a great town, Bryan College Station, to raise a family. And I've had the opportunity to move different places, and I just didn't see myself living here.
You were down in Dono
And
too, weren't you?
I went to Donna, Texas for kindergarten, because of my dad's work.
Yeah,
But I went to kindergarten
yeah.
in Donna.
1969 state champs.
69.
Go Redskins.
Oh man, how are things in the valley? How are things in Rio Grande Valley?
Everything's going good. I don't know if you had my brother here, Joshua, on a
Right.
podcast a few months back,
What's
and
the update on?
yeah, he's starting the Aggie Boxing Club over there. So
Okay.
A&M has a satellite campus in McAllen,
Hmm.
Texas, and through that program, they do everything that they do here, same programming, but just satellite. So the professors from A&M either travel to McAllen or they tune in
Right.
through Zoom, and
Okay.
they go through class like that. And so there, since it's a new program, they don't really have much, much organizations or like student involvement there because it's still growing. So when they presented the idea for like Aggie boxing for that campus, that they were very interested in it, and because we had some history to show them a little bit about what we had done here, they're very open to it. So they're all on board, and so my brother's now like formulating a little
Okay.
executive board so that the students can then report to the
Right.
administration, and so
Right.
pretty soon they'll have a team, and I mean that's pretty exciting for them.
Right. And I'm pretty sure he's relying on you for a lot of information and how to get going, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, he comes to me more for like confidence and to be able to speak with confidence and ask the right
Mhm.
questions.
Right.
Because we've gone through the trials and errors of what works and what doesn't. He's able to kind of rely on me there. So he's not making the same mistakes that we did, or
Right.
like so.
Or the same battles that
I
we
would say,
had.
yeah. Well, now I think that the landscape for boxing has kind of shifted, and
Mhm.
now college boxing is just a thing that's accepted.
Right.
Whereas when we were starting it off, it was totally brand new, had
Mhm.
never been introduced to Texas, so everybody was kind of like a little standoffish towards it. They didn't know what to do with it, what it was.
Yeah, they weren't a little
Yeah,
standoffish.
yeah. I mean, they were.
They were loud.
I mean, at the time, it's
Yeah,
good. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just it was. We were shifting.
Right.
Like the power, what we could do and what we couldn't do. And beforehand, we were doing some experiments and stuff. We had the Aggie Fight Night, and
Right.
so we were learning as we went, and at the same time, we weren't fully developed then. Like, and now we have some better ideas on how we could make the sport better for college athletes. At the same time, and still trying to promote it to those who have boxed their whole life, especially.
Right, 'cause, you've had a few, shows, or you've been a part of a few college boxing shows, right? As far as the show itself, not just participate. Tell me about some of those shows that you've, helped out.
Well, there's teams from all over the country. See, the thing about these teams is that they're student led. As you know, you
Yes.
you you helped us with a lot of the guidance. So they then put these shows on. But then again, they're doing it for the first time for themselves. They're figuring out they're learning the ropes still. So really, the shows that are growing, as if like you put a show on one year, well, you expect it to get better and better and better. So that's really where those teams are when they host shows. Their shows, I would say, arguably every weekend across the nation.
Mhm.
It's just again now it comes back to down to funding, because college boxing is not a NCAA sport, and
Right.
it's not funded by the university or by the state. So it comes down to students and their initiative to raise funds and coordinate those travel expenses. So again, when it falls back on students and there's not really somebody with experience to be there, the shows themselves are great events. Those who put
Right.
them together, sometimes they allow college bouts to be featured with along their shows. Other times it's just 100% college fights. So just being in the loop with that, because there's a lot of teams now that are popping up, that are starting their teams for the first time in some big universities. And that's what I'm here to help them do and understand, is that we created a little blueprint on how it should work, and the communication model that there should be for the administration and for the students, and then even outside towards the USA Boxing, at the regional level and LBC,
Right.
so that there's got to be that communication. Otherwise, the students are pretty much on their own. So whenever we now have the support that we do, with the golf, with Staba, South Texas, and everywhere in between. It just makes college boxing much more accessible and available. So now we're getting the word out a little bit
Right.
more.
And this is different now. I mean, back in the day that we had the frat fight nights. These shows, these college shows are different now. Now you featured actual boxers that are in college. Back the frat fight nights, we called them, but they were college box night or whatever. We don't want to say frat.
Yeah, no, no,
They were
no.
just guys who would sign up, train for a month, and just go at it. These are already, the new shows are more, these guys trained, they or they, grew up in boxing and they go to college and they want to keep boxing. And that's what's going on, I think, now, right? Uh, do you see that happening, or is it still a bunch of goofballs just signing up and going
well,
at it?
well, taking nothing away from the frat fight night,
Yeah.
because
Those guys raise a lot of money.
yes, they do, and that's what
You
my
know,
point
but
was.
but at the same time, as coaches, we know
Yeah.
what we're looking at. They're fun. We just try to keep them safe and make sure they don't get hurt. But what I've seen is these guys, the new generation of college boxing, they're actually serious about it.
Yeah, they are, and well, the sport has evolved as well. It's not just no more of just throw punches like we usually see. It's more technical, and you see that they're more advanced and their ring generalship and knowing where they got to be. So
Right.
so that just comes again with more years of experience that the club's been around. Because people pass through it. Some of them, we're just lucky enough to have some students that just happen to go to college and they have a
Right.
boxing
Yeah.
background. Again, we're just providing an outlet for them because what else would they do? Like there's other teams out there, that they could possibly travel to. And there's teams all over the nation, but again, there's nobody giving out scholarships for you to go over there like they would a basketball, football player.
Mhm.
So at the same time, that they do the shows are getting better, the skill is getting better,
Right.
but it really just falls back again on the organizers, especially the students and how serious they take it.
Right.
Because again, they're student led and they're learning from a coach. So sometimes it's just one of those things where some teams are way better than others because they have a better coach, and some teams don't have coaches. So there's a lot of disparity between some coaches that are more organized, and then others that are kind of just like more free roam in the gym, and other teams that just don't have a gym and trying to figure it out.
Right.
So
Right.
those are the teams that usually go and get eliminated in the first round. Whereas you see the usual teams that advance: Michigan, Illinois, Washington. These are some big teams. They usually come like with 30, 40 students. And so when you think of it in those terms, they have enough sparring for each other. Not only do they have somebody in the weight class, they have an alternate in the weight class in case that person
Mhm.
gets eliminated and vice versa. So the teams themselves are continuing to grow. Again, it just comes down to technical and that tactical
Right.
superiority criteria. Because as you've mentioned, the frat fight night was nothing impressive.
No.
We basically see them make sure that they wouldn't get hurt. They'd go 1 minute rounds,
Right.
but just recently, the A&M team, they an organization here on campus, collaborated with the Corps of Cadets, and so they had an event at the Reed Arena. And I would argue that that too was probably like a little bit more high level than what we're used to seeing with the frat fight nights.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're still growing, and who knows where they're gonna go. That's one team I was trying to get in contact with when I came to that event, to establish an alumni association because we have a few boxers from previous years that wanted to contribute. But then again, there's like I can only invite the idea, and whether they take me up on it is on them. But
Right.
I was very enthusiastic about college boxing. As you mentioned, the level of skills up there to one
Right.
day maybe we could broadcast some fights
Right.
and not be ashamed of what we're
Right.
broadcasting.
And be open fights and semi-pro or whatnot.
Yeah, that's the
Whatever.
most important thing because when you think of going to college team, I mean think of it like a NFL player who does college football before he goes and gets drafted. I mean that's the pathway that they have to go through. But part of it is that when they go and they're playing here, at Kyle Field, say for example, and they built this fan base, and so the people who know who they are, students who are watching them, alumni who are watching them. So that's the same thing that we're trying to do with college boxing is that put them on in a team formation so that way, when they go out there, students know who they are, and then when they make that transition, if they ever decide to
Mhm.
go pro, at least they have people who know their name. They're part of a team that was, that's I think that's next level to an extent. But at the same time, I mean, boxing is just you versus the other guy. So,
Right.
like having a team doesn't you don't really have no one to fall back on other than yourself. So.
Right. Three-time national champion.
Yeah, three-time not a collegiate champion.
Collegiate.
I gotta preface it with that. I don't want to be called a fraudster and
Well, well,
nothing.
national collegiate is still national champion, right?
Yeah, correct. The colleges they're growing, and but like I said, some of the skill levels are rising. Some
Right.
teams are like from the military academies, Army, Navy, Marines. So they got a government funded program,
Right.
and those are like the more elite level teams. So I mean, like when you beat a team like that, you can call yourself a national champion gladly. But I mean, but you're boxing, and I don't want to take too much credit. I love amateur boxing, collegiate boxing, but I'm 30 years old, and I feel like the sport itself is like not too much. Like I'm at a point in life with all my years of experience where I should have if I was gonna go pro, then that was that. But I just don't think I'm supposed to be fighting anymore in the
You,
amateurs at least. Like
you think you have that advantage using the bump?
yeah, honestly.
You send me the video. Hey, coach, look at the video. And then the next message is, you see the bump?
And that was state of the art back when I was learning to box from you. You know, I had never seen it before. You know,
Right.
and so it was a new move, and I still teach it to them. Anybody I teach it to, you know, I'm teaching it to my students, and you know, that was great. You know, like
Let's see the belt, man. Come on, pull it. You didn't bring it for nothing. I just happen to have this in my bag.
Yeah. Well, it expires at the end of December, you know.
Okay.
So
you gotta get a new one?
I got to get my reps in. No, I'm hanging up the gloves.
Okay.
And like I said, taking the fighting into the courtroom.
Are you announcing your retirement from amateur boxing today?
Yeah, definitely amateur boxing. I want to go pro, and I want to go not professional as a fighter, but you know, I want to step into the professional boxing world, and start learning how to you know, commercialize all of my contribution to the sport, especially because you know, I've learned the amateur system,
Right.
and I've climbed up the rankings, and not only as an athlete, but I also you know, contribute my time on the weekends as a referee and as a judge.
Okay.
So I've learned the structure of you know, the organization here within locally, and then also like at the national level, on how you know, the sport is governed by USA Boxing, and how it reports to the Olympic Committee. So, like, given that experience, I feel like you know, I know enough of the amateur system, and at the end of the day, those that are going professional are coming out of the amateur system. So that's been my my biggest goal, is just to develop a good name for myself in the sport, and just know that I'm here to help the athletes out, understand the business of the sport as well, so that they think of themselves more as you know, businessmen instead of like just athletes alone. You know.
Right. So are you saying that you want to go into the promotional business, or the sport athlete agent side of it, or explain it to me?
Yes, so I'm actually currently interning with a managerial company.
Okay.
Now my hands aren't I'm not on the table with negotiations for contracts yet, but I'm learning what that entails.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the managerial side, you know that you are their representative. You know, you're supposed to have their best interests at heart.
Right.
And then being a promoter is, you know, you're working with all the managers. You know, they may manage one athlete, and another manager might have that athlete, and we want to make that match happen. You know, the promoter's the one that's trying to put that card on their bout sheet.
Right.
You know, because that's what's going to generate funds. That's what's going to attract the fans. So working hand in hand with promoters, but more importantly, teaching the athlete exactly what they're going into, what they're signing. I think
Right.
that'd be a competitive edge for
Right.
me, knowing that I'm going and I'm learning the law, so that I can maybe even put that above other agents that want other athletes, and have that to offer them, you know, some legal services in case they're, you know, caught in any, you know, legal actions. Or
Right.
mostly civil. You know, I don't want to be representing like, you know, criminals, and I don't want to have that. I don't want them to think that they have a free get out of jail card, or
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So.
Okay. That's a nice jacket.
Oh.
Where'd you get that? And then of course he's wearing his Noe shirt. You know, you got to be something when you're wearing your own shirt on.
Yeah, you can find
your
the
own
link.
face on your shirt.
You can find the link in the comments. No, I'm kidding. No, but I did make some shirts after the competition. Things were like a little rough, especially financially with school and all.
Mhm.
So I had the idea to make the shirts right after I finished the bouts, and got the belt, so that they would be fresh and people would want them. And it was like, but by the time I got the money to do it, it was already like 2-3 months after the fact. So like, I guess the buzz died down, and
I won the national title.
It was, I was just like talking to my girlfriend who's here with me. I'm joined by my girlfriend today, Kennedy Ccontreras, and she like, me and her talk. And so I tell her too, like, whenever I got something going on with college boxing, or I want to announce something or publish something on Facebook, that I have to be real selective with what I post nowadays, because like, people are gonna get tired of seeing the same old stuff, and they're like, you know, wow, not this guy again.
Did you want another national title?
No.
Wow, tell me about it.
Same thing too. And my dad too. Like, you know, I recently was awarded a USA Boxing scholarship too. You know, and I think there was 50 applicants that were applying for the scholarship through the foundation, and I sent in an application, but they needed a requirement of 2 fights for 2 years in a row, and I boxed this year but didn't box last year. So immediately after submitting my application, they sent me an email saying, "Hey, you don't fit the requirements, so you're automatically kind of disqualified." So I was a little upset, and I said, "What? Like, I'm not gonna let that happen." I think I work too hard, and I'm too involved with the sport not
Hmm.
to at least stay as an applicant. So emailed them back, let them know, "Hey, this is you should consider these other stuff like that. I coach college teams, and I'm a referee and a judge." So then they eventually awarded it to me, and let me know that they would take it into consideration. I got the news like 2 weeks ago, and immediately like I was waiting for USA Boxing to kind of drop it on their like homepage so that
Hmm.
I could go and post that. But then my dad went and he stole my thunder and like took it out and told the world. And so, so I'm just trying to get my dad and I on the same page sometimes because I know he's
No.
excited for the stuff that I do and he wants to share it, but at the same time, it takes away from when I want to share it because then people have already seen it twice, and by the time when I post it, it's no longer doesn't have the same effect
No,
anymore.
I think people see it and watch it anyway.
Mm,
I mean, they may not comment or support it.
mm.
Because there's a lot of people who watch the show that pretend they don't do it,
Oh yeah,
but they do it.
but you hear him talking at the barbershop.
Right. But they're watching.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's watching. Everybody's paying attention. Trust me. Uh, ¿Qué más, vato?
Well, tell me, Coach, how in your 2 years doing the podcast, transitioning out of boxing, now into this new hobby, and you seem to have taken it pretty seriously, and you've invested into it. In the 2 years that you've had it, how does it feel looking back and then looking to the future?
Um, well, the reason, like you said, the reason I started the podcast is because my two boys got me into it. You know, Hey, you can drink it up, man. Look, we're on the camera. um, when I decided to, and I'll explain in a minute why I retired from boxing. Um, I came home to nothing. Not to nothing, but I would sit down and watch TV and just relax.
Mhm.
And then my two sons were like, "Hey, what are you doing now?" I was like, "I'm just going to relax." And they're the ones who say, "Well, why don't you start a podcast?" You know about music, you know about boxing, you know about construction and all that stuff, and that I started to look into it, and found a friend in Houston who does podcasts, and he told me about all this equipment that I need to start, and it seemed like a good idea until you have to talk in a microphone and look in the camera, and they're really like, But it's been fun. I think the fun part is having these guys, my two boys, involved, and we talk about it, and after every podcast we go eat and we talk about what the podcast and if it was good or muscle man knows or we should have said this next time, we need to put the camera this way, and it's a nonstop thing. I don't do it like every day, maybe once a week, maybe every other week, but I'm having a good time with it, and I've had a lot of good guests. I've had a lot of great guests, and some stories are funny, some stories are just like me and you just relaxing and talking, and some stories are tragic but for the most part it's been fun, and I hope to, and I think it's gonna keep going because I'm not doing this for the money or anything. I'm just doing this for the fun, and I'm having a good time with it.
That's good.
You know,
What for the future? We're gonna take Desde Cero on the road, or what does
I've
the
I've
future hold?
I've had the opportunity to interview like big musicians out of town. I'm just I I don't know yet. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to figure all that stuff out because I still work and I still go on the road as a musician and I still stay busy, and then I try to find the best guest for my podcast and get that going too. So I don't know where it's going to take me next, but I can't wait to find out. One of those things.
No, it's exciting stuff, and the time that you share with your boys, especially.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot that goes into it. People who just join in and talk on the mic is one thing, but
All right.
you put it together and you have to produce it, and then you have to edit it.
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into it. I've been fascinated since you starting yours. I didn't want to like start one immediately after, but maybe I've thought maybe in the future myself,
Yeah.
and I'll have you as a guest every year, and
Absolutely.
we go back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah. Because you're gonna be here every November from now on,
I mentioned that that that's the beautiful thing about Texas
Yeah.
A&M is all the traditions, and that's why people are fond of this place. And so I think starting a tradition here and having our own tradition is a great thing, and definitely something I'm going to continue nourishing over the years.
Right. Yeah. Let's get into a little bit of amateur boxing and the state of amateur boxing. Well, you still in there. You're still in the whole circle. What have you noticed has changed in amateur boxing as far as the coaching, the gyms, the culture, all that stuff. What have you noticed?
Well, there's been a shift from teams traveling to the major competitions
Hmm.
to get a belt or to win a national title. Mostly because I feel again that they're awarding these smoker belts at the amateur shows
Right.
at the local level, so it really takes the significance of a belt away.
Right.
The best athletes, look very decorated sometimes through local shows only, and that they never really go and step up to that next level. So I feel like that's really holding a lot of athletes back. But then again, it can also fall back on financing because gym owners have to figure a way out there and
Right.
get sponsorships. But right now we're in a gray area of boxing right now, considering that the Olympic sports just discontinued boxing for the 2028
Hmm.
Olympic Games here in Los Angeles. So that really leaves a lot of wiggle room as to what's going to happen next. And maybe that's why in my letter of appreciation towards USA Boxing for the scholarship, I included in there that I would love for USA Boxing to get more involved on the college boxing scene, and that perhaps with the two conferences that we have a champion on this side and a champion on this side. Well,
Yeah.
then let's pit them together against each other and see who the best is, and maybe that could be a step towards some more scholarships, some more funding. But I think that if in order for college boxing to advance, USA Boxing has to kind of come in and be able to subsidize a lot of the tournaments and organize a lot of the matchmaking because absent that, like I said, we're not getting the news out as good as we should be,
Hmm.
mostly because again the USA boxing system is ranking these kids, and I mean youth athletes and senior athletes to be able to compete internationally. They want a high performance team.
All right.
So we have like two opposite interests. USA Boxing wants these students, boxers, to go and compete internationally for medals, and so we can have a better medal count. And the UCBA and college boxing is trying to educate the boxers. So it's like, where do we go? The USA Boxing wants them overseas, and we want them in college campuses, learning
Right.
and boxing against other college campuses, college teams. So we're really like in that area where if USA Boxing would be willing to loan us a hand, I think that we could really be somewhere in the next 4 or 5 years. Whenever I make a campaign for the UCBA board
Right.
position, hopefully, treasurer or president in the near future. So we have some plans that we're brewing up that I don't want to talk too prematurely on.
Hmm.
But most of them are relying on the fact that I go to law school and I finish, and then another member of UCBA who's involved from Michigan from the Wolverine team, he's currently in med school. So when he finishes, we're looking to make a campaign together for change, so that we can get boxing and college boxing on that level that it needs to be on. Maybe one day on ESPN, the Zone. It sounds like a long way from here, but like the things that we're doing and the plans that we have in place, are just really just waiting for the day that I
All
graduate.
right. Should should more coaches be telling these boxers to, get a higher education? Not necessarily go to college because college is not for everyone,
I understand.
right? I mean, there's technical school, there's at least graduate high school, get a good job, But do you think some of these gyms, some of these coaches should be pushing these kids more into, hey, you're not going to go pro. Stop lying. To me, we need to stop lying to these some of these kids and say, hey, you're gonna be pro. And some of these coaches turn these kids pro, and they wasted 3 4 years of their life and not do anything
Mm.
because they want the title of being pro. Do you think that these gyms, and is it something that you can go in and help out and say, hey, we need to start promoting more higher education to these kids? Because to me, that's what these boxing gyms were for. It wasn't to win medals or fake belts and or smoker belts, what we call them.
Yeah,
They're not fake because
they're
they're
not
real.
fake. Yeah, that's real leather. They're
You know what I
genuine.
mean? Should we be pushing that a little bit more? I understand that there's boxers who will turn pro. There's boxers who can go pro. And there's gyms that will turn these guys into pro boxers and be successful boxers. But I think the majority of it, or majority of the gyms, are not that, right? Should these gyms, and we know what gyms they are. And as a matter of fact, we know gyms from Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, and all these gyms. Do you think they should be pushing more and being honest with these kids about, hey, just go to the military, go to college, go to trade school. What should we be doing with these kids?
That's a great question, and I think that goes back to what I said a while ago with that it starts at the top, and USA
Right.
Boxing needs to endorse this type of thinking,
Hmm.
because I've seen it too. And, we got some kids that are reaching that 17, 18. Sometimes they join like when they're young, 15,
Right.
17. They're within an age where the amateur system has passed them by.
Right.
Where we have kids that have been boxing since the peewees, all the way up to the youth level, and then those are the kids that deserve to go pro.
Right.
Otherwise, we're just feeding these newcomers that haven't been boxing for that long, and because they're reaching that age of being a senior, being
Right.
yeah, having that in that category, not
Right,
like
and
senior
and and
citizen,
and
but
they look good because they're young and they're athletic and they throw punches,
uh,
but they're not boxers, they're just athletes,
yeah.
There's a big difference, and if you've coached, as long as I've been, or as long as you've been in the boxing, world, you can tell the difference. Okay, he throws a lot of punches, but he's not a boxer. He's gonna run into a real boxer, like you said, has been training since he was 5. Now he's 17, and he's one of those kids. And they're gonna take you out.
Mhm.
To me, it's lying to these kids, and that needs to stop.
Yeah, we need to clean the sport up, and I feel like there's a lot of politics as there is in anything, especially within the pro world. Like there might be that gym, and they might have a fighter who is might not win that fight. They
Right.
might put him in a fight that they feel is going to be a tune up for him, and then the other person just doesn't come to lose.
Right.
Who steps in? They're trying to lose.
Right.
So sometimes it could go from that boxer losing the fight, but he wins it because he comes out of that gym, or it can become something where like people are put in serious harm because
Right.
they're being forced into the professional world. And I would think it best, for like maybe the professionals. I mean, there's no regulation on this, but to put like a bout minimum on the amateurs. In order for you to go pro, you have to have
Right.
10, 15 fights. Like I don't think that's asking a lot of the amateur system. But getting this through to coaches who are traditionally more like want to be able to just go and just preach professional boxing to the students.
Right.
It's very hard because they're gonna be reluctant to change, and they don't want to
Right.
hear that.
It's an ego thing.
Yeah, they don't want to
You
hear
know.
that. Like, and so that's a sad thing. So I mean, even if you talk to the boxers and you educate them, like it's gonna be hard because like who else do they rely on? Their coach is telling them one thing, and then you're gonna tell them one thing, and that's just gonna cause conflict in
Right.
the within that gym or between you and that coach. But in reality, that shouldn't stop anybody. That won't stop
Right.
me in the future.
Yeah.
I'll be.
Again, I'm not saying that all the gyms don't have pro boxers. They do. There's a lot of gyms in Houston, and a lot of friends of mine
Mm.
that are great coaches, and do have the capability of taking these guys pro and then become successful. but there's a lot of kids within those gyms itself that
Should go to college.
should go to college or
Mhm.
should go to tech school or
Mhm.
should do something
Yeah, trade.
besides, not to say, hey, you need to quit boxing. No,
No.
it's a beautiful sport, and it teaches you how to take care of your body and discipline and a lot of patience and you get to have fun, you get to travel, you get to see new people and there's no greater community than the boxing community. I mean, everybody is just a great people. Again, I've been around, tennis parents. I've been around baseball parents, and all that, and the boxing parents are the best, you know. But we need to be honest with these parents
Well,
sometimes.
some parents might even get in the way themselves because
Right,
they want their son to go pro or
right,
they want their
yeah,
daughter to go pro. So there are a lot of barriers to getting through to the athlete. But yeah, I would definitely advise them to go and pursue a career, whether in trade or through like a bachelor degree. Get something, have something to fall back on in the future because boxing is not guaranteed. And as you said,
right,
there's levels to this and not everybody's going to be a
right,
Mayweather and make millions of dollars, but everybody can go, educate themselves and have something to fall back on if in the event boxing doesn't go for them. But a lot of the time, one thing that's real important is just that I've heard of coaches that are signing their athletes contracts for them,
right,
and they don't even inform them on what's included in the four corners of that document. So a lot of the times athletes are getting taken advantage of as
right,
well.
yeah,
So that's the dangerous side of the sport. That's what we're trying to clean up, and we're trying to provide that transparency for the athletes so that they know exactly what they're signing
right.
into, and they're involved in every step of the procedure.
Yeah, and again, boxing is a beautiful sport. Join your local boxing club, have a good time, but at the same time, hey, you know, it's not
It's
that serious.
yeah.
and,
Well, it's a serious sport,
well,
but
and I think it's the same for everything. I mean, when your son plays baseball, you want him to go pro. When he plays, football, you want him to go pro. I think it's the same thing. But lots of times it's you can't get scholarships from boxing, like you said,
yeah.
and you can get a little from baseball and a lot from football. That's different. Uh, but I think gyms need to do a better job on helping these kids because the majority of these kids come from low income communities,
That's true.
and I think the worst thing to do is to lie to them and say you're going to make millions of dollars going pro in
Yeah.
boxing. No, you're not.
And then force their hand into the document,
Right? No,
so
no, you're not.
yeah.
You know.
No, it takes it to even for the for the average
Right.
professional in their debut, they need to understand that their manager's paying money to the promoter
Right.
for them to be on the card.
Well.
You know what I mean? At least through scholarships. I mean, you'll make through scholarships probably more than these professional athletes will make in their first 5 fights by just going to school and
Right.
continuing to box. So it's not out of reach for these athletes. Again, we need to continue building these programs. And it just starts with informing the athlete and letting the coach know as well that these opportunities exist and whether they act on them or not. As
Right.
long as you inform them, I think that we're doing our job.
Do you remember that young kid that we saw in Branson?
Oh yeah,
Curtis Mo
Carmel Morton.
Curtis Moton, is it?
Carmel Morton. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that little kid was like 9 or 10 when we saw him,
Uh,
right?
Yeah.
Well, right now he's fighting under Mayweather. And that's what I'm saying. There's situations that you know, you know
You know. Well, you know it when you see
at
it,
a
like,
young age,
yeah,
who's gonna make it or who's not.
yeah, so
And it's
I think that's what it takes. I mean, not discouraging people from
right, right,
participating, but or saying stay out of that kid's way.
right,
I mean, at the end of the day, like some kids are destined for this stuff,
right,
and it's not to say that they're talented or that they work harder or that they were born with this gift. It's just that the everything that you mentioned, it comes down to parental support and coaching
hmm,
support, and sometimes they just have the perfect setup for
right,
some of these kids to thrive in. Whereas, as you mentioned, boxing is just not that. Not that way. A lot of the participants come in from lower
right,
socioeconomic classes, and so I think just being able to inform them and provide them with that and prioritize education so that they know, what's out there for them. Because if
right,
not, then all they see and all the only dreams that they have are those that are, the coach's dreams or their parents' dreams, and they're
Right.
living through them. So
Right. And they gonna end up with no education and no money.
no,
You
yeah, and then
know.
other
Yeah.
people are handling their finances,
Right.
or doing this, and they have no clue on like what's going on around them, and in their
Yeah.
own personal lives.
Yeah.
So
What I've seen a lot more of is like gyms that and they're not even gyms. They just have the coach and the boxer, and it's in their backyard, and it's just two people, and these guys, they get all the attention and they get all the training, and there's no, you know, they focus just on them, and those are the successful boxers that I've seen, you know, because when I have a boxer that said, "Hey, I'm ready for the next level," okay, well, let's go spar so and so, and those guys were, had their gym in the backyard or next door or something, and those were the good boxers.
oh yeah.
If you get back past through these guys, then yeah, I think you're ready for that next level.
Mm.
You know, we went to go when my team said, "Hey man, we're good. Okay, let's go down to Huntsville with Alfonso Lopez and let's spar his guys." And they would see a different level.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they would pass the test. They're not, they weren't bums or nothing, but my guys would pass the test, and then, okay, let's go to the next level, and let's go to more tournaments.
Mhm.
If you saw me in tournaments, out of town and traveling and going to Louisiana, going to
No,
Arkansas,
you went to win
it's because we passed those small tests that I would
the
take them,
benchmarks. Yeah.
right? Because sparring each other in the gym is not going to get you anywhere. We have to find out what you got with these guys who always win national,
Uh,
tournament.
But then we also got those athletes that are just, monsters in the gym, and then you take them in the ring, and they're like, they have nothing. It's
Yeah,
like I don't know what it is. Maybe the pressure, the being in front of the audience like
right.
that. So I mean, there's just like it just takes a like a perfect blend and mix of
Right.
the athlete knowing that he wants to be there and that he belongs there, along with the coaching. Because I mean, like it's very different having a team environment. We know where you're looking after a roster
Right.
of athletes, making sure they're all good, and then you have was a coach, a single coach with a single athlete,
Right.
and you give them that individualized attention and their workout plan. It's very different.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah. And
you,
those guys are tough to beat.
you can get personalized training. Those guys are
Yeah.
hard because that's it. Like that's what they do,
Yeah.
and and then like that's how, like, give a good example. That's Canelo and Eddie Reynoso.
Yeah.
And now that they've built their program, they have some athletes under them, but still
Yeah.
they were that one
Right.
coach and one
Yeah.
athlete,
Yeah.
and then so now you're like, so those are the type, like you said, a good eye for that. Those are the athletes and coaches that are making it to the next level. But then again, it falls back on, like, what do you do it for again? Like that's a tailored plan for them to go
Right.
pro, one on one.
Right.
And then you do it, like, there's people in the community like you who want to offer lessons and teach the benefit of the sport
Right.
without burdening their parents' wallet, or doing it
Right.
for a low price, like how my dad does with
Right.
passion.
Right.
So different people do it for different reasons. So if you do it for a gym setting, I think for me it's more impressive when you have when you have a roster of athletes and everybody's just doing really good, because
Right.
it shows good programming. But then again, there's just like, the more you go into those type of gyms, also are the type of gyms as well that are telling their athletes that they're all going pro. Everyone's going pro in here.
Everybody going pro. You're going pro. You're going pro. You're going.
And so it's a give and take with those gyms
Uh,
and everybody else. But again, there's good people out there in the sport,
uh,
either cleaning it up or doing the right thing and teaching life lessons along with.
right. I've had a lot of kids go to college from my boxing
And you were
club,
there at every graduation
and
ceremony, high
yeah,
school.
I went to a lot of college and high school graduations. I'm proud of that. And those guys that I see now, when they were 10, 12, that have a career, they get to go to the office and
Sit in the
yeah,
aircon.
it's in there. I feel proud about that. I think I made the difference that I wanted to. And not lie to them and say, "Hey, let's go pro and go make $600, every 3 months."
Every team.
But again, if you want to box, join your local boxing club.
Again,
It's a great sport. It's going to teach you a lot. You're going to become a better person, and a good, pillar to your community. So join a boxing club.
I agree. Boxing has taught me a lot. It gave me a lot of
All right.
confidence, and that's the same confidence I take with me. That I will take with me going into the courtroom. Knowing that it's adversarial. It's you versus the other side, and boxing teaching me that, and it teaches me that you should be fearless in those settings.
All right.
So I think that I have that competitive edge, and I will in the courtroom one day. So,
and if I ever need you,
not next year, not next November, but the following November. Hopefully, we can put my number down. Right? If you're ever involved in an accident.
The jackhammer, the jackhammer of the courtroom.
I haven't really made my name up, but
the jackhammer.
Somebody already took the law champ. So either when I graduate, pass the bar, and get licensed, I think we're gonna have to put the gloves on and see who takes the title.
Well, no, let's. What do you say we bring Kennedy in?
Yeah, I would love to bring her in.
Come on, Kennedy. Let's get you in here right quick. Alan, can you?
Go ahead, baby. You can just sit right here.
Yeah, you can sit. You can sit right there and scoot the chair over. Why don't you scoot the chair over? We got Kennedy Ccontreras
out of Corpus
Christi. Is that right?
Yes.
And no, you can. We got a special mic for you right here. No, why don't you scoot that mic to you, and then we'll get this going right here.
Make sure the belt's visible.
And yeah, we can still see it.
Thank you.
All right, scoot up a little bit, Kennedy. Can you see Kennedy? Make sure you.
Yeah, I mentioned
the bell.
I mentioned her. I mentioned her in the last podcast. I don't know if y'all remember.
I'm real.
Oh man, let's see. All right, here we go. Say a little something for us. How you been?
I've been good. I've been looking forward to getting into it with you. Noe's told me a lot about you since we first started dating.
Right.
So you were like a big influence on his upbringing, him becoming a man with boxing.
Yeah, he's a special guy, and a funny guy.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's
especially funny.
Yeah.
He's a little quirky, but
oh yeah.
a little quirky.
Yeah, I'm an acquired taste.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Kennedy. Where are you from?
So I was born in Midland, Texas. I moved to Corpus Christi when I was 10 years old. My dad got a new job. We moved. It was just me, my brother, my sister, my parents. My whole family is back in Midland, Texas.
Okay.
I went to school, Flower Bluff High School. I had a little bit of detour when it came to college. And that's another thing because I wasn't blessed with being told like college was super important. I was the first generation college student.
Right, just like me, yeah. And college wasn't even in the in the thoughts of, hey, you got to go to college.
Exactly.
No, you got to go to work.
Exactly.
You need to help the family out. Was that your situation?
Exactly. Yes. My parents, my dad started 15 years old, didn't even finish high school. 15 years old, had to start taking care of his family, worked at Sonic at 15 years old because my grandfather had fell off a roof, hurt his back, was bedridden. So at 15 years old, he had to step up and be the man of the household and take care of his family. So I watched him go from working at Sonic to just being a bagger at a grocery store, worked his way up to management, and then he just excelled from there. Right. And same thing with my mother. She did graduate from high school, but she just had to build herself up, make a name for themselves. They didn't really know college. They just knew just to work.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Del Mar College. I'm a dental hygienist.
Okay.
I just graduated in 2023. And
are you in Dallas now?
Yes, I just moved to Dallas in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
With who? Now, did you get a job down there before you moved down there?
Oh, yes.
You thought about it. And,
yeah, it was all planned out.
Okay.
I did my research for
calculated.
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Well, that's good. Let's see.
Tell about your uncle.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's get right into it. Let me let y'all know that Kennedy's uncle is Randy Velarde, who played for the New York Yankees, the Texas Rangers, the 2023 champion Texas Rangers,
Let's not forget.
and the Oakland A's. I
And the
believe.
Oakland A's, yes.
All right. Tell me about your uncle.
So my uncle is on my mother's side.
Okay.
It's my mom's older brother. He's from Midland, Texas. He went to Midland Lee. My grandfather actually played semi-pro
Okay.
for a Mexican baseball league.
Okay. What's his name? Because my uncle also played with the Mexican League.
My grandfather, Elias Velarde.
Elias Velarde.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna ask my uncle about him because he played back in the day for Valenzuela and all that.
Yeah,
Really?
it's a small world. So.
Yeah. So I'll what's his name again?
Elias Velarde.
Elias. Okay, I'll ask him about it. Okay.
Wasn't your grandpa, one of your grandpas, also a Golden Glove champion?
My dad's father.
Okay.
Wow.
So she comes from a family of athletes.
Wow.
I thought that out too. It was
What
calculated on my end.
What sport do you play?
Well, now I transitioned into boxing. I got into combat sports at 19 years old.
Yeah. And so right now you're training in boxing because you're going to compete.
Yeah.
You're going to follow this guy's footsteps. And, and man, I want to be at those arguments.
Those physical arguments.
Yeah, wow. I mean, like I was saying, I came from a background that was just like old school Hispanic household. Like the woman is supposed to take care of the man in the kitchen, cook, clean type of ordeal.
Right.
But it was just something with boxing for me. Like at 5 years old, I remember being at a family gathering. All the kids are playing. They had like an Oscar de la Hoya fight on. And all the kids are just playing, not paying attention. But then there I was, just like in awe of the sport. I thought it was beautiful. I've always think it was a beautiful
Were you immediately attracted to the sport?
Yes.
Was it Oscar de la Hoya or was it boxing?
No, it was boxing.
No, it wasn't Oscar.
No.
No, it wasn't Oscar.
Let's change the subject.
Hey, tell about your uncle.
What about your uncle? The unassisted triple play.
Oh yeah.
One of the few in history.
I believe he was the 6th athlete to do a triple play.
Right. Every time I mentioned to Noe, hey, Kennedy's uncle, Velarde. Oh yeah, he did a unassisted triple play.
I wrote that one down on a flashcard and had it ready tonight, and I memorized it.
Oh, by the way, thanks for the autograph.
Of course,
you sent me an autograph of Randy Velarde's baseball card. So thank you very much.
He was very enthused to write that autograph.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't have him on the podcast.
You should.
I didn't have him on.
He's got some Muhammad Ali autographed trunks too.
Really?
Yeah, he has a good collection of a lot of memorabilia.
Wow.
So yeah, you should invite him out whenever he can. His daughter went to A&M here too.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was just hanging out with her last night.
So when is your first bout? When's your first match?
In March.
In March.
So we're no solidified date or place yet.
I
think it's in Illinois though, University of Illinois.
Okay.
Out in Champaign-Urbana. So.
Okay. So you're looking forward to it? What's your training like?
So that's what I was talking to Noe about. It's very different when it comes to the mindset to be a boxer.
Right.
Like I was saying, I grew up when my dad, it's like complete frowned upon with both my parents for me boxing. My dad was always like, "Oh, first of all, you're a girl.
Right, women don't box."
Exactly.
Right.
You're too smart. Too many hits to the head. My mom's mortified for me to get injured, but I started with kickboxing first. It was just cardio kickboxing whenever I was 19. Started doing the cardio kickboxing, and the coach there was like, "Hey, like, have you ever thought about competing or actual training? Because you look like you'd be pretty good at this." So that's whenever it came into my mind. I always knew I loved combat sports in general, but that's whenever it really dawned upon me, like, you know what, like,
let's compete.
I really, let's do
let's
it.
take this to the next level. Let's have fun with it. Let's compete. And
Well, she's definitely learning the difference because she's a MMA background.
Okay.
You know, she
Okay.
did
Right.
jujitsu, Muay Thai. Then we're tweaking her back to
Yeah.
what it takes to be a
Right.
boxer.
And that's
Be
what's been
slick.
very challenging for
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
I've had to go back and forth with fixing my footwork, my stance. I can feel myself changing, and then it's just building the confidence
Mhm.
in not only my form but my mentality.
Right.
It's like I catch myself whenever I'm like on the couch and I'm just like, man, like you're gonna get your ass whooped if you don't get up and go
Yeah.
run, you know?
How do you do in sparring? I mean, how do you feel when you spar? Do you feel
See,
like you're learning? Do you feel like you're, going to that next level as far as your stamina and all that?
oh yeah, I feel like I've made a difference with just being like just fighting, just brawling,
Hmm.
you know, and then actually working technique and being technical and thinking about my next move.
Right.
So
And
it's
positioning
it
and all that.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. And a lot of people don't realize like it's not just brute. You have to have a lot of
Right. You have to
intelligence.
be smart to be a
Yes,
boxer
exactly.
Oh, you have to be
and
three
be
steps ahead.
and be a
Mhm.
3-time national champ.
To be
You have to be smart.
to be a three-time national
Yeah.
champ.
To be.
Or not to be.
But that's why honestly I've always wanted to compete, but watching Noe, he has really made it different for me, and seeing how just collegiate boxing, I didn't even know about it.
Hmm.
It wasn't
Wow.
really spoken of. Like yeah, sure, amateurs, but to be able to box and go to school, it was intriguing to me, and seeing him thrive in that setting it was beautiful.
Right.
I got to watch him compete in his last bout.
Watch me starve.
Yeah, yeah, that too. Yeah.
She was like you, coach, when your athletes had to make weight, so she would go and sneak off to the restroom,
No,
flush the toilet, and then open the chips.
No.
Yeah. Our rule was if the boxer doesn't eat, we don't eat. So
Oh yeah, that
we had to sneak away.
he jokes about that, but no, I tried my best. I really wanted to see how he was feeling because I would feel guilty. So he would eat oatmeal at like 10 in the morning,
But you can't.
and then he just wouldn't eat anything for the rest of the day. So I was just like,
yeah,
man.
just really portion myself. I mean, we dropped 20 pounds in like 2 weeks. Yeah, it was a rough time, and my body still hurts to this day. So it's like, was it worth it? I mean, I guess you got the belt and the scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just something I've always wanted to do was compete, even as a kid, and just seeing like just the beauty in the sport. It was always drawn to it.
Right. And now that you have the opportunity, you're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah,
Right? You're
like
going to bring one of these home.
yeah, I at least want to just have one match at least, just get out of my system. Because I wanted just to check it off my bucket list. You know, I'm not saying I'm gonna go pro. Or
She wants it so that our future children won't talk back to her.
Right? Point to the belt.
But I would like our future kids to be able to be like, you know what, not just my dad, but my mom was a collegiate champ too.
Well, good luck with your bout, and we're gonna be cheering you on. And when you win, come back and. We'll go out
Come
to
back
eat.
with my own belt.
With your own belt.
Get your own podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back and
your own
pop my
podcast
belt.
too. Your own personal podcast. So how'd you meet this guy?
So in dental hygiene school, I went with his sister Lori.
Okay.
It was actually really funny because the whole 2 years of dental hygiene school, she was just like, you should talk to my brother. Oh, you like boxing? My brother boxes. Y'all should talk to each other.
Can I say?
And then I would see that she would post pictures on Facebook of our whole entire class. Then I would see like this guy in the comments, like with the emoji eyes.
Who's that?
So I was I know.
Oh man.
So I was just
Sorry I asked.
I had to relive that.
So it was just
let's move on.
it was funny because for me, like it was in just like a professional setting in my
Right.
program. And I was really close to his sister, and I was like, you
Mm.
know what? I was really nervous. Say what I did talk to him in the beginning of the program, and it didn't work out. I was nervous to lose a friend in my program, and then
Mhm.
it'd be weird for me in a professional setting.
Right.
But I don't know. It was getting more into graduation. Like school was finished, and we are just sitting outside a group of friends, and people were like, "You know what, Kennedy, you're dumb." And I was like, "What? Why?" And they're like, "Why don't you talk to Lori's brother? You should talk to Lori's brother." And then it just really started dawning on me, and I was like, "You know what?
Let me
You
give him
roll
a
the
shot.
dice.
Let me give him a
You roll
shot.
the dice.
So I sent him a request on Facebook, and I didn't know what to do or how to even make a conversation with him. I was like, you know, I just
Did you send him a request and then like 5 seconds later at the door?
Poke me.
Poke me. Oh man, that's funny. Well, are you in love with this guy?
Oh yeah.
You know, I think we all are.
Oh
You know, he's a special guy.
He is.
You
He's
know,
different.
just don't hurt him because I don't think there's enough alcohol here in Branco for us to finish it.
Broken heart.
Yeah, for us to finish it.
No, he definitely is a person that I see spending the rest of my life with. for
Awesome.
sure.
When's the? You know, I just started a DJ, so if you need a DJ for the wedding, anything else you guys want to add to the podcast before we go get something to eat?
I have a question for you
Go ahead.
about not about boxing, but whenever Noe told me about your band,
Uh-huh.
I love the kind of music. So
Okay.
how did that start? Like how old were you when you got into your
Well,
group?
when I started to be a musician, I was 13 years old as far as performing and getting paid. So by the time I was 14, 15, I was paying for a car with that money. So I just love music, you know, and once you start going into that community, whatever you want to do, you know, you're gonna do it. Like if you want to become a boxer, you go with people who box. If you want to become a musician, you hang out with people who are musicians.
Right.
And that's what happened to me. You know, I just started hanging out with local bands. And you know, a guy shows up late for practice, you jump in, you know, and that's how you start. And all of a sudden, you're kicking the drummer out because you're a better drummer. You know, that's what happened. That's what happened with me. You know, I was a drummer first until I was 18 years old before I grabbed the bass. That's what I play now. And you just start playing. But at the same time, I never left school. I still studied. I still worked, and to this day, you know. 2 weeks ago, I was in Florida for a 3-day tour. You know, fly there, you know, fly back, and you go back to work on Monday. You know, but you know, it's just the love of what you want to do.
Right.
You know, I've always done what I've wanted to do. You know, if I wanted to start a podcast, I'm gonna start it. If I wanted to be a musician, you know, I went for it. If I open up my own boxing club, I'm gonna open up my own boxing club, even though there was a good boxing club here at the time. I'm gonna open up my own because I have my own ideas.
Exactly.
You know, and you know, now with the DJ thing, I've always wanted to be a DJ. What is it like to just go to a venue and push the button and play other people's music? You know what I mean? You know, it's always been weird to me because you know these guys get paid a lot of money and all they do is you know use other people's music. I was like, let me try it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's and a lot of people have always called me, hey, you know, DJ, you know, because I've been in the music business for forever, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go with all this money. You know, when I don't gig, you know, I should be doing something like this. You know, it's free money.
Yeah.
Now, that's the way I see it. It's not free because I just bought all this equipment. You know, and if you need a DJ, call me. You know, but that's how it starts. You know, it starts with the love of something. You know, and that's how I became a musician because since I was little, I loved playing that music. And one of the songs that I first loved was called La Musiquera.
Mhm.
Well, that's the band I play with now, the original band that I play now. Tommy
Wow.
Dex. You know, I heard
Wow.
that song when I was maybe 8 years old. It came out. And years later, you know, I'm one of the members for 16 years now.
That's amazing.
So, you know, it is amazing.
That is.
Because
Yeah.
I had posters of these guys. It's like the movie Rockstar. I had posters of these guys on my wall. You know, I did. You know, and then to become one of the members and not just a you know, a member, but I'm an actual musician with them. You know,
Mhm.
I'm not a roadie or anything. I actually play an instrument with these guys and the singer who's actually, you know, if you ask me, he's a legend in our industry. You know, so that's been pretty cool.
So you've been embodied. Don't just dream it. Do it.
Yeah, you got to
You
do it.
got to.
And if you fail, who cares? Nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody in this world wants to see you fail. Like when you go up to talk and you know, public speaking is one of the most scariest thing people do.
Mhm.
And when I went to college, that's what I took, speech, because I was afraid to speak in public. So what did I do? I took speech, and I was taught that nobody wants you to fail. When you're up there talking, they want you to succeed.
Yes.
You know, and that's how I started doing. Hey, if I fail, you know, who cares? You know, at least I did it. I had fun with it. You know, if I fail at the podcast, you know, I'm having fun with you guys right now, right?
Yeah.
It's a good time. You know, so do what you want to do. Go for it, you know. And people are going to support you. There's people around you who are going to support you.
Mhm.
So go for it. You know. If you want to marry this guy, you're not. You know, don't
Think twice.
Twice,
But do it.
Yeah. Like I said, don't hurt him.
Absolutely not.
Oh man. Well, anything else you guys want to add? Any more questions?
When is
I'm ready.
your next show? your
The
band?
27th, I'll be in Houston, and the 29th, I'll be in Dallas.
Oh, I know where we're gonna go.
Oh, is that why you said you weren't available 29th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll go
Yeah,
check the lot. Maybe
Yeah.
they have all you can eat sandwiches back there.
Did I tell you about?
Yes, you told me about
we had a gig in Dallas. Was it in Dallas?
Yeah,
right?
Dallas. Yeah.
With
What's Dallas?
with Lorenes. And you know, backstage we were just chilling out and stuff like that. And, well, that was in sound check, right?
Mhm.
And then when the actual gig started, like the first band goes up, that's when they start bringing you, you know, drinks and food and all that. And they had a big tray of sandwiches, you know, and this guy grabbed one, and all of a sudden it was gone, and he had the tray with him. Like,
In the van.
and then he asked me, "Hey, you think they can make more sandwiches?"
No way.
And I'm like, yeah.
my
And they brought more sandwiches.
Oh, they rolled out the red carpet for us.
Well, appreciate you guys coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
and
sure.
it was fun. Kennedy, Noe, thank y'all for being here. Any shout outs y'all guys want to send out?
You want to go for it?
Yeah, shout out to my family, to Noe's family, to all my friends back home that's always supported me. Even though my parents aren't happy that I'm gonna be competing, I hope you guys
they're
still
happy.
come.
They want you to win.
Yeah.
They're not happy, but they want you to win, right, Noe?
They're not happy until you do
Yeah.
it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's mija y arriba. Mira.
Cinturona.
Cinturón, Facebook.
On Facebook, right? Yeah, just want to give a shout out to my dad, and my mom, all my sisters, and my little brother. Keep going, and we're working to have that dream accomplished one day. And thank you, Coach. Always feels good to come back to Bryan College Station,
Yeah.
and hopefully in the future, you know, if we do decide to stay here, we'll have a lot more adventures like we
Oh,
did back in
absolutely.
the day. And,
Absolutely.
and then shout out to, of course, to the Golf LBC here. Hopefully we can get Joe Martinez here on the podcast now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Well, thank y'all again for watching, and please subscribe to Desde Cero con Manuel, and keep supporting the channel. And you two, good luck.
Awesome.
And,
Thank you, Coach.
Keep going. Keep fighting. Vamos a ganar.
Thank you.
All right. See y'all next time. Thank y'all for watching.